Thank you for taking out time and joining us in the very first webinar of the monthly series titled Cambridge and Pakistan, Conversations to Support a Cambridge Learner's Journey. I'm Sanya Saif, Senior Recognition Manager at Pakistan at Cambridge Assessment International, and I'd like to formally welcome you all to this webinar, and I hope you will find it informative and useful. Most of you would be associated with Cambridge schools, whether as teachers or students, or maybe in the senior leadership. But just for those who might not be aware, I'd just like to give a small introduction of what Cambridge Assessment does here in Pakistan and generally around the world. So Cambridge Assessment in National Education is part of University of Cambridge, and it prepares school students for life, helping them develop an informed curiosity and a lasting passion for learning. So our international qualifications are recognized by the world's best universities and employers, giving students a wide range of options in their education and career. So as a not-for-profit organization, we devote our resources in delivering high-quality educational programs that can unlock a learner's potential. So in Pakistan, we offer the entire Cambridge pathway, all the way from Cambridge primary to lower secondary and IGCSE, O-levels and A-levels, as most of you would be aware. This is just like a brief introduction of what Cambridge Assessment does here in Pakistan. So if you'd like to know more about what we do, please do visit our website. We're going to post the link in our chat very soon. So please do feel free to go towards our website and find out more about the work that we do here in Pakistan. So why did we decide to come up with this monthly series? It's just kicking off this month, and we aim to continue it in the coming months next year, which will be 2022. So we're hoping for more sessions to come forward in the coming months. So this monthly series is basically designed to provide the most up-to-date and relevant information on how studying Cambridge qualifications can lead to university admissions, not just in Pakistan, but abroad all around the world. So each month we will have with us speakers who will share the most recent information on everything that is relevant to university admissions. For example, how students can move from Cambridge school qualifications to universities, which will involve information on eligibility criteria, entry requirements, acceptance and recognition of Cambridge qualifications in universities around the world, and then also how Cambridge students perform at these universities, and also other topics that you would like to know more about and would be relevant to admissions of Cambridge learners across the world. So these topics of the webinars will be carefully selected and are being carefully selected to reflect all such areas that can facilitate these university admissions for our learners. So if you would like to suggest any topic for the upcoming webinars, please feel free to add your suggestions. We will be sharing a link in the chat to a platform called Padlet, where you'll be able to post your questions, any suggestions that you have, feedback, or any ideas that you want to propose for the sessions to come forward. So any topic that you would like us to address in the future and have a session about, please do feel free to write down in the Padlet, and we would take a look and take your suggestion very seriously and try to form a session on that very soon. So this webinar series is for who? So it's basically for everybody. Students studying Cambridge qualifications, students willing to study, students who are aiming to apply to universities, parents who are interested in sending their students to universities, teachers, school leadership, and most importantly, student counselors who spend their nights and days helping and guiding students to secure university admissions. So this series is basically here to provide you with all the information that you would otherwise find scattered in different places. This is your one go-to stop to find all the relevant and up-to-date information on university admissions. So as you all are aware, the topic we'll be speaking on today is how can you use your Cambridge qualifications to study at universities around the world. The speaker for this session is Kevin Ebenezer, Head of Global Recognitions, Cambridge International. Kevin has worked in international education for almost 40 years as a teacher, director of guidance, and head of academic standards. He joined Cambridge as a senior assessment manager, responsible for the science portfolio for the educational reform project before starting his role as head of global recognition. So he heads the Cambridge recognition team globally and has a wealth of knowledge on how Cambridge qualifications are recognized by universities around the world and how they can be used to secure those admissions that you are aiming for. So we thought this would be a wonderful way to kick off the series, to have Kevin with us today to guide us on how these university admissions can happen around the world. And I'd like to also, before I welcome Kevin, I'd like to let you know how the structure of this webinar would be. it's very simple. We wanted to keep it very straightforward and as informative as possible. So I'd like to welcome Kevin and then give him the platform to speak to you and let us know what he has, the information he has for us today. And after that, we move on to question and answers. Question and answers would be can be posted in the link that I will be sharing in the chat just now. It's the Padlet that I mentioned earlier. So instead of writing in the chat, please post your questions in the link that I'll be putting in the chat just now. So you, other than questions, you can write all your suggestions and feedback over there. So it's going to be one place for all your suggestions, comments, feedback, questions that you have. So please feel free to click on the link while you listen to Kevin and ask away. Thank you. Kevin, over to you.
Okay, so again, thank you all for your patience while we got the technology correct. My name is Kevin Ebenezer, and I'm the head of global recognitions for Cambridge. Could you go to the next slide, Sanya? Okay, so we are recognized throughout the world, as Sanya mentioned. We've got about 2,100 statements on our recognition database from countries all over the world. And as you can see, we have 195 countries. We work in 195 countries. Cambridge qualifications are only taught in 160 countries. So in certain times where people want to go to countries that are not countries where Cambridge is taught, we actually work with the governments or universities there to ensure that our qualifications are recognized. If you look at the map, you can see we have recognition managers placed all over the world, in the US, in Latin America, in North America for Canada, in Sub-Saharan Africa, in the Middle East and North Africa, in South Asia, so India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh. In Pakistan, we're really pleased to have Sanya join us now. And then we have recognition managers in East Asia and Southeast Asia Pacific. So our recognition team spans the globe. Next slide, please. Okay, so what we try to do is target the top countries for our recognition work and work with universities or overarching bodies in those countries to ensure recognition for our qualifications. We develop recognition in a particular context in a specific market. For example, in Pakistan, it's all about the equivalence with the IBCC. And then we identify future host destinations. So in this case, wherever we think that the next country coming up where people will want to go to, for example, Japan, we are now working with the ministries in Japan to ensure that our qualifications are recognized there. We have a database, and our database is we have a database and a recognition web page. So I would ask all of you to look at our recognition and acceptance web page because this provides a lot of information and gives a lot of resources for schools and students to use about where we are recognized. And you can also do recognition searches using our recognition database. Today we're going to talk about destinations. So our destination brochures are all found on our website. So you can see, for example, on the slide, Destination UK, Destination Canada, and university recognition worldwide. So the countries that we don't have world pages for, specific brochures for, we have them on our university recognition website. Go to the next slide. Could you go to the next slide, please? So we have our recognition database, and in that database, you can look at any country and find what recognition we have. And it also does it by qualification, whether it is IGCSE, O level, AS level, or A level. So that's something that should be used by students before they apply to universities. So today we'll just look at a few destination countries that we found from the survey that most students from Pakistan go to if they are going abroad. The UK, the US, Canada, and Australia. Um, for the UK, as you all know, you need to have at least 3 A levels um, to access UK universities. And the competitive courses means you've got to get high grades at these A levels. IGCSE and O levels are accepted as equivalent to UK GCSEs, and especially in English and maths. So for some courses in the UK, you need to show that you have proficiency in English and maths, and our IGCSEs or O levels will suffice for that. Um, Universities in the UK may require additional requirements. So sometimes they may ask for CELTs, secure English language tests, to meet visa requirements. It all depends on the university. In most cases, they will take IGCSEs or O levels to show proof of English requirements. And then some courses may require additional admission tests. So for example, if you want to study medicine, you may have to do the BMAT or the UK CAT. These are uh, aptitude tests to study medicine. So we are able now to get data from UCAS, and in the last 3 years, we see a large number of students applied. So 53,500 students applied to UK universities, and Cambridge students are receiving offers from these universities. So of those 53,500 who applied, 51,990 have received offers, and 37,370 accepted their offers. So there's a large number of of Cambridge students at UK universities. And you can see that by the different years. So as I said, these are the last 3 years data from UCAS, 2018, 2019, and 2020. And despite the pandemic, you can see more students are still applying to the UK, more students are being made offers in the UK, and more students are accepting their offers in the UK. So this is despite the pandemic, you still see that people are outwardly mobile and going abroad with Cambridge qualifications. We work closely with UK universities, and we have a higher education consultative forum where we have a large number of universities attend. So once every term, we have a meeting with these universities where we provide regular updates. So for example, during the pandemic, what changes we had to make to our qualifications for students who couldn't take examinations. All this is relayed to our universities so they understand the way we work. Universities also help us shape our priorities and ensure that qualifications develop college-ready skills for our learners. So when we are developing a qualification, we actually work with some of the universities around the world. And our forum members are there, and they all welcome applications from Cambridge learners. Now, when you look at the UK, every university that is registered with Universities UK has given us formal recognition. So all the top universities, including Oxford and Cambridge, etc., will recognize Cambridge qualifications. An interesting thing in the UK is that they have now developed post-study visas. So basically, after you complete your degree in a UK university, you can actually stay in the UK and work. This is getting more and more students coming to the UK. And what we see from the subcontinent is there was a decline of students coming to the UK. But since the introduction of these post-study visas, more people are beginning to come to the UK because they find the post-study work visas interesting for them to develop their careers. So moving on to destination USA. Um, as you can see from the slide, we are recognized by most of the universities on the East Coast of America, but all around America. So we've got about 950 universities that recognize Cambridge qualifications in the US. This is just the numbers that have given us formal recognition. So most universities will accept Cambridge because the US has a different form of admission, but these are ones that have given us formal recognition and in most cases also award a credit. So there's different types of institutions in the US, a community or junior college where students can access these with um, O levels or IGCSEs. You have your colleges or universities. Again, you can access it with IGCSEs or O levels. However, most of them would prefer students to take the highest level of qualification they can take. So that will mean AS or A levels. So as I said, 950 universities officially recognize Cambridge, and the minimum entry requirement are 5 Cs in IGCSE or O level for most state universities in America. However, if you want to go to the top universities like MIT or Harvard, A levels are required, and in some cases, you may have to take some other additional examinations as well. Advanced credit is available for both AS and the A levels in some of the universities. Recently, we have worked with the Common Application Form and have updated our Cambridge. So you cannot see. Can you not see the slides?
It's visible to me. I think some people can, and there are some who are facing some issues. So those of you who are facing an issue, I would suggest if you like rejoin because I think most of them can see the slides. Kevin, you can continue.
Okay. So recently, we have updated the Common Apps and we have highlighted all our qualifications on the Common Apps so students can actually use the Common Apps to apply. Now, the Common Apps, even if you're not planning using it, has some really good resources within it that students and guidance counselors in schools can use to help to help understand the application process at US universities. So in the US, we have a higher education advisory council, and there we work with a large number of people high up in the universities who are advocates for Cambridge. And this extends from state universities to Ivy League universities like Columbia, and also high quality universities like MIT. And these people advise us and help us um, form our path in Cambridge, our recognition path in Cambridge. And their thought leadership and advocacy is really important. And if you look at the website and see the blogs and articles and outlooks, these people do a lot of work for us to promote Cambridge in the US. In the US, because we have a large number of students taking qualifications within the US and they go to Florida, especially, we are able to do a lot of research with universities in the US. And again, you'll be able to read a lot about this research in our blogs, our Cambridge International blogs. And this is an example where Cambridge University students, Cambridge international students actually perform better and complete a bachelor's degree within 4 years faster than most other students who attend US universities. So about 46% of students will complete a bachelor's degree in 4 years. If you take the AP, it'll be 55%. But if you take Cambridge International, it goes up to 60%. So this shows that Cambridge International really prepares you for universities. We'll move on quickly to Canada. I know there's not much time, so I won't talk too much about Canada. But most universities in Canada require 5 different subjects, and 2 of them must be at A level. A lot of universities will consider AS levels as equivalent, 2 AS levels as equivalent to an A level. And most give credit for A levels, but again, you have to look at the policies, because if you are taking a course and taking an A level and in a course other than the one you're taking at university, you may not get credit for that. And I've just given an example of the requirements for one of the top universities in Canada, McGill over there, for you to see. And I think with Canada, what's happened is that a lot of students want to go to Canada because Canada also offers post-study work visas, but the post-study work visas in Canada are actually more interesting, because if you do a 4-year degree, you'll get 4 years of work. You'll be able to get a work permit for 4 years, and that work experience you gain will also help qualify students for permanent residency. So students who want to remain in Canada after doing a degree, this provides a lot of benefit for them. And I've just provided a link to the Canadian Immigration Service to show how people can actually get that. Australia, we have about 40 universities in Australia, so all the top universities, including the group of 8 that recognize Cambridge. And for Australia, they will ask for 3 A levels in most cases for most courses. New South Wales and Victoria are the 2 main destination countries for Cambridge learners. And the IGCSE or O level will allow you to go into university foundation programs. We've actually made an arrangement with Navitas that works in some Australian universities, that students taking IGCSE and O levels can get directly into these courses. And international students have to apply directly to university in Australia. And Australia also do a point criteria. So an A star will give you a 6, an A a 5, a B a 4, etc. And in some cases, because of visa requirements, IELTS is the most required English language proficiency for non-native speakers going to Australia. So it was just a quick whistle-stop tour, and I'm sorry about the timing and the technology issues, but now we will be open for questions. So any questions, I'm happy to try to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. I know it was a test of patience to make sure these technical difficulties were managed. So thank you so much for sticking by and listening to what Kevin had to say. And if you have any questions, please post them in the Padlet link that I've pasted in the chat just now and also above. So please feel free to write any questions that you would want to ask. So Kevin, we do have a couple of questions in the Padlet, so I'd like to move forward and ask those if that's
Yeah,
fine. Yeah,
please do. Yeah,
sure.
please.
Can we also see you?
I'm on video.
Oh, you are okay. It's not visible, but that's okay. Um, okay. So the first question we have is, are Cambridge qualifications accepted by Asian universities like in China or Japan?
Yes. So in China and Japan, Cambridge qualifications are accepted. In Japan, at present, it's only accepted for the English medium of instruction courses. So a lot of universities in Japan offer EMI courses, and all the universities that offer it except Cambridge. So we've already made a deal with the Ministry of Education in Japan over that. By next year, every university in Japan will accept Cambridge students for entry into Japanese courses as well. So courses taught through the medium of Japanese. However, students will need to learn the language if they want to do that. And what the universities are looking at, they're doing a pilot with us right now. They are looking at seeing how long it will take for a Cambridge learner to become integrated. So they will do a foundation program which could last from 6 months to a year. So this is what we are working with in Japan. In China, uh, almost all universities will accept it, and all the international universities in China have actually provided us with recognition statements. We also have um, recognition managers in these countries. So if a student finds difficulty in getting to a university, please contact us, and we will contact that university to socialize Cambridge if they do not know them. So within Asian countries, most, well, Cambridge is widely recognized.
Thank you, Kevin. So yes, I've also posted a link to our recognition page on the website. So if you have any specific questions and want to see which universities are accepting Cambridge qualifications, you can go on to this link and search for the recognition database, and you'll be able to find the universities that are accepting Cambridge qualifications all around the world. If you have any specific questions, you can reach out to us directly or to your school, and then they can reach out to us and to our team. So we'd be happy to answer if you have any specific questions about any universities.
Right.
Uh,
Just to say
yeah.
something on that, Sanya, is
Mhm.
that these are what you see on the website are universities that have given us formal statements. So a lot more universities that have not given us formal statements will also accept Cambridge. So if you are applying to a university that's not on the recognition website, please contact us and we will try to help you with that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so the next question we have is, if a student takes a gap year or 2 years after A levels, can she get an admission into universities in the UK? Meaning, can a gap year be a problem in getting admissions into universities?
No, a gap year will not be a problem. When you if you have decided on a gap year beforehand, you can defer your entry. So you apply the year you take your A levels because you have the support of your school and your teachers to write your references, etc. But you can actually defer on the UCAS form and say, I will come the following year. The other way is to say that you are coming, and when you have to accept your offer, you ask for a deferral, and they will hold your place. At present, it's 1 year, but if you have something that you really want to do that will take 2 years, if you talk to your university, they generally will hold your place for 2 years.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. So we'll quickly take the next question. So the next question is, as you look at universities and admissions globally, what are the new countries where students are going to university these days? And has the trend changed after COVID-19?
Yes, the four main countries still remain the biggest attractor of universities. So the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. However, COVID has really changed this because, for example, in Australia, students weren't allowed to come to Australia because of travel restrictions. So basically, Australia is beginning to lose a lot of students. Um, Previously, the last administration in the U.S. were not very friendly to foreign students. So again, the U.S. has declined in numbers for or with attracting international students. However, that was Canada's gain. So Canada is really gaining students who cannot go to the US. The UK has always been open, and a large percentage of students are coming in. The only difference in the UK now is EU students, because of Brexit, are not going to the EU. During COVID, what we've seen is students want to stay closer to home. So we've seen an increase of students from, say, Pakistan wanting to go to Turkey. Again, in Turkey, we have a good recognition. We've seen students wanting to go to close to universities close to home or stay in their home country. We've also seen a rise in rankings of Asian universities. So a large number of students now are looking at Asian universities. And when we look at our destination survey, we see more students are actually attending universities in Asia. Last week, we actually held a Asian college fair, so where Cambridge students were all invited to attend a college fair, and we had all Asian universities present. It was widely attended by Cambridge students all over the world.
Great, yes. And I'd like to add, if you want to see those sessions, they're available online. The recordings are available. And if you're unable to find them, please drop us a message or let us know via email, and we'd be happy to share those with you. They're very informative content available for everybody to listen if you're pursuing admissions in the Asia Pacific. Thanks, Kevin. The next question is related to the previous one, but I'll still go ahead and ask. So the question is, do you think universities have become more flexible with admissions after COVID-19?
Yes and no. Universities have become flexible because they had to realize that the effects of the pandemic. And to be fair to students, they accepted students, with grades such as teacher assessed grades, etc. However, what's happened is the number of students, especially in UK and Dutch universities, has increased a lot. So now what universities are saying, we cannot cope with that large number. So as we come out of the pandemic, for this year, students are safe, but as we come out of the pandemic, universities are thinking of going back to pre-pandemic numbers and pre-pandemic acceptances. So we've seen more students apply to top universities um, during the pandemic and actually achieving places in this. But in in a year or 2 years time, if they don't have the high grades, by taking exams, the chances of them getting into those universities are going to diminish. In the US, what we've seen is that most students apply to the top high tier universities, and the middle and low ranking universities have got very few international students attending. And they are the ones that want to attract more international students because they lost out during the pandemic.
Thanks, Kevin. I think that gives us a pretty clear idea. There's a question I'll take from the chat, which is, are Cambridge qualifications accepted at Russian universities?
Cambridge qualifications are accepted at Russian universities. Again, with Russian universities, they have a overarching body that accept Cambridge. So basically, it will be socializing our qualification with that university. So again, if a student's applying to a Russian university, a bit about the Cambridge qualification and the AS and A levels would be needed to go with that application. If the universities require more information, then our Europe team will help contact that university and um, explain the qualification to them. So in the majority of cases, we've had no problems with students going to Russian universities.
Right. And if you need more information, you can always visit the page of Europe and of recognitions, or you can write to our team and we can guide you towards the relevant recognition manager looking after Russia and the countries nearby. Uh, so the next question, Kevin, which we have is, I'm an A-levels private student. Would it be problematic for me while applying for international universities? I've heard extracurriculars matter.
That all depends. Um, it depends on the universities. In some countries, all universities want are your grades. So if you're applying to, say, Germany or Holland, that's all they want to see. There's no personal statement. There's no college essay that you need to um, apply with. In some countries, like the US, they want to see a wider range of activities a student does. If you're a private candidate, there's no reason why you shouldn't be involved in extracurricular activities. And anything that you do is important. So in your college essays, you should mention whatever you do, whatever your hobbies are. Those will be of interest to the university. In the UK, in your personal statement, you can write about your extracurricular activity, uh, but when writing a personal statement, keep that very short. The universities actually want to see what your academic interests are. So, what I would say, if you're a private candidate, you will be able to be accepted in most international universities um, with your qualifications. However, just to let you know that in some cases, if you haven't attended full-time education, some countries may have imposed restrictions. For example, in India, if you are not in a school, uh, you'll have to show that you have done 12 years of education before you are accepted at a university there.
Right. Thank you, Kevin. The next question, I think, is also from a private candidate, I'm assuming, though it's not mentioned. It says, would it be easy to apply in any university without any counselor? So I guess they're saying if there's no student counselor support, is it still easy to apply to universities?
Yes, what you'll have to do is do the research yourself on the university. All application forms are now downloadable that you can fill in yourselves. What you would need, though, in most cases, is some form of a referee. So somebody who knows you, maybe anybody who knows you who can write a reference for you will be accepted if you explain that you are a private candidate. But for the US and the UK, for example, you do need a referee, so you would need to find somebody to do that.
Great. Thank you. There are some Pakistan relevant questions in the chat. I'd like to just highlight here that we would not be taking those right now because those are not relevant to the topic we're speaking about right now. So if you have any specific questions, please do write to your school or directly to Cambridge, the contact person that you usually in touch with, and we'll be happy to answer those in other mediums. So please feel free to write about those. If you have any other feedback or questions or comments, please also feel free to write in the Padlet. The Padlet will be active after this webinar as well for a couple of hours. So you can always feel free to write about that. So there were a couple of questions and comments about Germany, and my colleague Simona has pasted a bit of information in the chat. She's mentioned about some of the scholarships in Germany that can be pursued. So thank you very much, Simona, for putting that down and taking that question. So if you still have anything that you'd like to ask, please go ahead and do that. And we'll be getting back to you soon with the answers for those questions. So moving towards the end, I'd just like to thank everybody for being here today. And thank Kevin, most of all, and apologies once again for the technical issues that we had today. The more that we're becoming used to technology, there are like issues every time that come up, and they're like unique issues every time. So just apologies for those again. Thank you, Kevin, for taking out time and guiding us about university admissions overall around the world in using our Cambridge qualifications. So thank you for that. And thank you everyone for joining. We have like a survey made for this webinars. So if you have any specific feedback that you'd like to give, please feel free to give us feedback. I'm pasting the link in the chat. It's a small 5-minute survey that you can give feedback on about the content of the webinar, the general overall what you thought about it, or any feedback that you'd like to give. Please feel free to do that. It will only take 5 minutes. And if you have anything else you'd like to say, please do drop me a message or write in the Padlet that we've shared. And thank you once again for taking that time. I hope you'll be able to join us in our upcoming webinars. We'll keep in mind the different suggestions you've given us about the topics that we can speak on in the coming months. So hope to see you in January and another interesting topic, and more information about that, the date and timings and the topic would be out very soon. So stay tuned, and a very happy winter break, upcoming winter break to all of you. Thank you everybody for joining. Take care. Bye bye.